Fascinating in scale and luxury, the cities that have grown on the shores of the Persian Gulf over the past decades seem to be an absolute miracle. In the background of these notable and widely discussed mega projects is the project of the multi-billion-dollar maritime city of Sabah Al Ahmad Sea City in Kuwait, the construction of which took 25 years and continues to this day. For Europe and America, a 25-year period seems unrealistically short. For the Middle East, where mega cities grow as if in a time-lapse mode, this is an incredibly long time. Why so? We will tell in this video on the Innovative Text channel. If you go deeper into history, it turns out that the construction of Sabah Al Ahmad Sea City in Kuwait was conceived back in the last century. For the first time, the idea of building a new city for 100,000 inhabitants on the shores of the Persian Gulf was announced in the early 1980s. Then, the richest Kuwaiti developer, Khalid Yusuf Al Marzouk, became the initiator and inspirer of the project, who agreed to fully finance the creation of the new city via his La Ala company. The Kuwaiti billionaire had big plans, as oil refineries and heavy industry enterprises were developing at a rapid pace in the country. They employed thousands of specialists who needed to settle somewhere. Even then, it became clear that soon everyone would be cramped in the capital, and traffic jams would become one of the main factors prompting people to run away from the city. In addition, the idea of building a huge sea city south of Kuwait City was to meet the local demand for life by the sea. Kuwaitis adore the sea. Historically, it was the backbone of their commercial activities before the start of oil production. Despite all the prospects of the project and the availability of funding for its implementation, Al Marzouk's plans were destined to crash on the rocks of great geopolitics. Construction was delayed as a result of the events leading up to the Gulf War, namely the invasion of Kuwait by Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein in 1990, to make it the 19th province of Iraq. Although the Iraqi occupation of Kuwait lasted only 7 months, it took the country more than a decade to recover from the trauma of the invasion. By 2003, the project for the construction of the Sabah Al Ahmad Sea City was unfrozen, and the son of Khalid Yusuf Al Marzouk, Fawaz, took over its implementation. Thus, 12 years have been lost since the government made attempts to alleviate the effects of the Iraqi occupation until 2003. However, over the next 13 years, the lost time was fully made up, and in mid-2016, the Sabah Al Ahmad Sea City was solemnly declared open. Still, construction continues to this day. One of the key features of this project of the new city was the principle of its structure. Before construction began, this area was occupied by an abandoned salt marsh called Sabha. As a result of draining the bottom and cleaning it of silts, a rugged terrain was formed, which it was decided to draw into quarters, and areas below sea level to be removed into canals and flooded with seawater. So the Persian Gulf went inland for almost 6 miles, forming a bridgehead for the construction of Arab Venice. In order to give the city its intended layout, millions of tons of sand had to be moved using dozens of bulldozers, excavators, and giant dump trucks. And the silt deposits in the lagoons and on land had to be separated from the sand, suitable for construction, and delivered to predetermined dump zones. By the time the project is completed, it is estimated that more material will be removed than was excavated during the construction of the Suez Canal. Unlike many other coastal projects in the Persian Gulf, where millions of tons of material were sent to sea, the city of the Sabah Al Ahmad Sea City did the opposite. Sea was moved to land instead. For this, up to 7 kilometers of low-lying, ecologically poor salt marshes were dug. This allowed the creation of lagoons and islands, as well as filling about 9.5 million square meters of territory with water. Interestingly, this entire vast network of waterways was designed to be completely washed out by the force of the tides. Without proper flushing and water exchange, waterways would soon become hypersaline, deprived of oxygen, and susceptible to any contaminant that might accidentally enter the water. This would result in a stagnant body of water unable to support a vast ecosystem. To implement this project, a system of 6 giant gates with an area of 50 square meters was designed and installed, which allowed water flows to circulate around the city, not just back and forth. Computer simulations showed that this resulted in 90% of all the water in the system being replaced within 10 days. Thanks to the self-flushing system of canals, since the opening of waterways in the lagoons, over 1,000 species of marine macrobiota have been recorded, more than 100 species of fish and shellfish, including one new to science. Now, as the sea continues to be built, the facility employs workers from 20 countries of the world, mainly from India, who have to work at times in unbearable conditions. At the height of the summer, from June to October, they are released from work during the hottest hours, when the heat is stifling, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. On such days, work is in full swing after sunset, so as not to lag behind the plan for a day. In general, the city construction project was divided into 10 stages, estimated to last over a period of 25 years. And this period does not seem so huge if you delve into the details of the project. First of all, such a long time is explained by the scale. In terms of area, the new city is comparable to the city of Manhattan. At the same time, the area is constantly exposed to extreme heat, up to 50 degrees or more. High temperatures cause big problems with concreting. Because of this, many works stretched out for many months. They stopped during the daytime, required the addition of chilled water and ice to the solution in order to reduce the temperature to an acceptable level. What is more, the project provides for the use of a special type of asphalt with a high bitumen content. Otherwise, the roads will simply melt from the heat. In total, the volume of the asphalt paved road is comparable to the area of 703 football fields. Secondly, the project pays great attention to protection from possible natural threats. For example, land elevation throughout the city has been raised to a level where it will not be affected by floods no matter how dire the projections of global warming are. For this, materials extracted from the lagoons were used. Third, and this is perhaps the most important, why the construction project has been dragged on for such a long time, is the issue of a conscious attitude to the environment and long-term planning of an ecologically sustainable environment. In order to transform the desert landscape into a habitable natural environment, Kuwaiti developers have already invested millions of dollars in the ecosystem of a new city. For this, an arboretum was built here for the cultivation of mangroves and other plants that are resistant to the high salinity of seawater and high temperatures. After a bad start, the loss of all the seedlings imported from Saudi Arabia, and the heavy hail that robbed young plants of their leaves 5 years ago, hundreds of thriving mangrove plants can now be seen around the perimeter of the islands. According to the project, such mangrove forests in the foreseeable future should cover artificial islands within the boundaries of the new city, and their appearance will significantly improve the local microclimate, strengthen artificially created zones from erosion and weathering, and also significantly increase marine biodiversity. Moreover, the project provides for the creation of condition for the growth of corals, which will fill the waters of the artificial bay with life. According to environmentalists' measurements, the first coral plantations are already beginning to appear in the area of the new city, and with them, hundreds of species of marine life. From any point of view, the Sabah Al Ahmad Sea City project is huge. Never before has a person had the opportunity to implement such large-scale projects to fill desert areas with seawater. Never before in the Gulf region have such weighted measures to preserve and restore the environment been taken. Never before have Kuwaitis themselves had such a long sandy coastline, suitable for recreation. More than 200 kilometers of the beach will be created upon completion of this innovative project. The Sabah Al Ahmad Sea City is a great example of how, with the fall in oil prices, Kuwaitis are investing their wealth and assets to give their country a post-oil future, and an example of a conscious attitude towards nature and its riches to the world. Behind is the tremendous work done to transform the salt marsh into a place suitable for living. Ahead is the filling of the city with infrastructure and life. The Sabah Al Ahmad Sea City project gives hope that there is still a place in the world for great miracles that can be expected in 25 years and much more.